everyone talks about your sphere of influence, and you have imposter syndrome in the beginning because how are you
Yeah.
going to tell your friends and family? They're like, oh, you don't know anything about real estate. So if you start in open houses and you just do them religiously every single weekend, find
Yeah.
find an agent in your office that's successful and has several listings that I physically can't sit in all my listings on the weekend. So
Yeah.
I want to find young, agents that are hungry that want to do that. And it's just the great way to get started.
Today's episode is brought to you by Andy Bovender, the founder of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. If you have that client who's been thinking about making a move to or from that area, they are the team to call. Scroll down in the description below for more information about their team. Today, I sit down with Linda Bale and we talk about her recipe for success. She's been in the business for 8 years and is currently the #1 agent in her area. If you'd like to hang out with other top performing agents, pick their brain, peer coaching, or trade referrals, scroll down, take a look at the link below for the Inner Circle Group waitlist. Click on the link and add your name, and we'll follow up with you. And as always, I'm your referral partner out of San Francisco, Sean Conkler. Linda, I'm stoked to have this conversation with you. I already feel like we have so much to unpack. There's so many twists and turns in your story.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, it's real estate has been a great adventure, and I feel like I was doing it before I got into it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy what I do 99.9% of the time. Like every once in a while you're like, why am I doing this? But I've met incredible people.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes people say, oh, I'm going to be a real estate agent because I can control my hours and it's easier. No, I work a lot of hours. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, it's very rewarding if you do it right.
Yeah, I often joke that I got into real estate so I can choose which 80 hours a week I work.
Yes, exactly. That's very true. That's very true.
What was your career prior to getting into real estate?
I started in high school working for the limited stores back in the
Oh,
day.
wow. Yeah.
And I worked for them all through high school and college. And then when I was finished with school, they offered me my own store. And I was a very young store manager for them. And I lived in Chicago, but I wanted to be a
Mhm.
buyer. And at the time, I would have had to move to Columbus, Ohio. That's where they were based. So I went to work for Carson Curry Scott in Chicago and got into their buying program. But
Wow.
then I met my husband who lived in Los Angeles, and he told me he would never live where it's cold again. So I've been married 39 years. I've lived in Chicago with him. I've lived in Detroit. I've lived in Pittsburgh. So that part didn't work out. But um, it was a great career because wherever his career moved us, I was always
Yeah.
able to get a job in a department store, whether I did human resources or I was in the buying office or I
Sure.
managed the store. So I've worked for a lot of really big retailers, which I think has formed my customer service ability and has
Yes.
formed why I can talk to people so well.
It's interesting. I had, when I was younger, retail, and and then I sold gym memberships, which is high volume, but it was also for a very high end, affluent client base. But I feel like the combination of the two, you learn a lot.
Oh,
And
you learn so
not
much.
only that, you have with retail, you're meeting new people and personalities every minute of the day. And so you're constantly kept on your toes, if you will.
Right. And I think that's where I learned, like, you're not supposed to ask questions where people can say no to, um,
Yep.
which is, sales 101. So it became a game to me to figure out, well, how am I going to get this person to talk to me? And I use that skill so much in an open house. I love open houses um,
Same.
because it's
It
like,
feels retail.
yeah, it's like retail. The house is my store, and you
Yes.
get some people that come in and they really try hard not to talk to. But I don't usually talk about the house. I try to
I,
figure out if someone's spending time in the kitchen, it's like, "Are you a cook? Well, did you watch the Netflix documentary Heat, Salt, Fat, Acid?" "Oh, yeah." And you totally break the ice and then it's great, but that's a
yeah.
game to me to figure that out. I love that.
It's so funny. I love that you brought that up because what I typically will do is figure out a spot to stand that's in view of the front door, but I have an object between me. And that's usually because that's my martial arts background is you can't approach me directly because I have a physical barrier, so that's a safety thing. But then I allow the space for the conversation, and I avoid, same with you, is I avoid the hi, how are you doing, I avoid all that
Yeah,
stuff
because they're just
because
gonna shut you down because no one wants to talk to you. But if you
and you're
can
going to
break
get
through
the
that, you'll get them to open up, and then they'll tell you your whole life.
exactly, yeah, and you're avoiding the initial no, just looking, which you get in retail. And so
Right,
you,
right.
I love that you have that background because I feel like that is an ace in the hole for this industry.
My husband teases me, like, years ago, we'd be at an event for his work or, like, on a travel event, and I wouldn't know anybody, and he'd start talking to someone, so I'd wander off and just start to engage with someone, and he'd come back later to find me, and he'd be like, "Do you know that person?" And I'd go, "No, I just met him." He goes, "They just told you everything about them." Like, people just
Yeah,
like to open you ask the right questions and you listen, people will tell you a lot.
they really do. They and I hope with the rise of technology, the art of conversation doesn't get lost, but just genuinely listening
Right.
and either giving an empathetic statement back or just being curious and asking, oh, like what led to that, or how did you blah blah blah.
Right,
It just keeps peeling back the layers, and then I
right,
think, especially I got this from retail, is observe them, like
right,
see how they're engaging with you. Are they stepping back? Are they turning away? Are they turning towards? Like what are they doing? Like how are they actually responding? Yeah, I genuinely feel my success at open houses, especially in the beginning, early days of me getting in the industry,
right.
was all hinged on retail experience. All of it.
Yeah. And but that's like the best way to get started, when you get young agents and you don't wanna everyone talks about your sphere of influence, and you have imposter syndrome in the beginning because how are
Yeah.
you gonna tell your friends and family? They're like, "Oh, you don't know anything about real estate." So if you start in open houses and you just do them religiously every single weekend,
Yeah.
find an agent in your office that's successful and has several listings that I physically can't sit in all my listings on the weekend. So
Yeah.
I wanna find young, agents that are hungry that wanna do that. And it's just the great way to get started. And because there's nothing worse than, like, if I see an open house and I stop into it, and you'll get an agent in there sitting on their phone, and they're not even acknowledging. They're looking at it like it's a chore. And I go to an open house with, like, it's either gonna be the greatest afternoon, and I'm gonna talk to tons of people, or
Yeah.
this great tote bag that I just brought with 8,000 things in it. No one's gonna bother me for 3 hours, and I can get some stuff done. So that's always my mentality when I go, and it works.
Hey, friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now, back to our show. Yeah, I mean, I have also a sales background. So I viewed early in my career, I'm like, well, cost for cost, what's the most inexpensive thing I can do to sit in front of predisposed clients, buyers or
Mhm.
sellers? And I
Right,
was like, open houses is kind of fish in a barrel because A, you're either a buyer, or B, you're a neighbor, which means you're an owner and a seller.
right,
And so like net, I have a pretty darn high percentile of meeting the right person there. And then from that point forward, it was all about how do I do the best open houses I can absolutely do. And then, similar to you, I latched on to highly successful agents
right.
who were solo, or they had maybe a one ops person and then it was them. And I knew, just like you shared, mathematically, they could not be at four different open houses on the weekend. And
Right.
so if I overwhelmingly showed them I will do a good job, they're going to give me every open house. And I literally, my first closed sale in San Francisco was for $2.7 million from a person I met at an open house followed by a 1.8
Yeah.
from people I met at an open house. So I am a huge proponent of them.
Yeah,
I
my
think it's
first there was an agent in our office. She was actually from California. She had done all the Toyota people when they lived in Palos Verdes, and then she came to Dallas and she did all the Toyota people when they came here. She was very successful. She's retired now. But she had
mm,
this open house. This is 8 years ago. It was an $850,000 house. I sat in it for 5, 6 weekends, and the same couple kept coming in, and I developed a relationship with them. So they asked me to come over and list their house. And she didn't want to use the agent in the neighborhood because everyone used her. I remember my knees were knocking walking into that house. Like, oh my God, what am I going to say to her? But I
yeah,
figured it out and we listed their house, and it was the timing of we did a contingent offer. We had to list their house in order to buy the next house. And so that we sold their house for 650 and we bought the new house for 900. So that was my first sale. That was a nice sale.
I
And
love it.
I still talk to them today. They're great people, and but it was an agent in the office that I used her open houses. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, and I think you additionally make a great point. Is just because that other agent has a lot more productivity in that area, that doesn't make them the hero.
Well,
And
no. And you have to, we do a lot of farming, and we look at the neighborhoods and we look to see if there is a consistent agent in there. Because they say
yeah,
that everybody knows, 10 real estate agents. But just because your friend or your sister-in-law is a real estate agent doesn't mean you want to use them, because I have a listing right now and the agent is been in the business for 2 years. She's never sold or bought a house, which that's
mm,
not a problem, but she doesn't have the right mentor. She didn't sign up with the right brokerage. And to watch her derail this deal and how she relates with her clients, it's just been one of probably the most frustrating things I've dealt with in my career, because she's just misguiding her clients.
yeah, it's really that's always tough when yeah, it's always a tough situation.
Right.
It's and I sometimes that you feel so bad for the client because they don't even know
No.
what's
And
like
everyone was new at some point. But,
yeah,
I've always been a big proponent that I don't know everything, though I like to think I do. But I'm the first one to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to go find it out for you and get
yeah,
you the right answer. Because there's nothing worse than talking to someone and they really don't know what they're saying. They're unsure. And I would
yeah.
rather say, hey, I'm not really sure how that works, but I'll get back with you on that.
I'm in the same like I think from doing this podcast, I have like a really good BS meter and I'm pretty good at reading people pretty
Right.
quick. And the moment I'm talking to somebody who's trying to guide me and I get that inkling that you don't actually know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm out. Like
Right.
I will not trust anything from that point forward. But if somebody said to me, "Hey, you know what? This is territory I'm not 100% familiar with. Let me research it and get back to you." My respect would go way up for them.
It's all about your credibility. And I have to be able to put my head on the pillow at night and know that I did the right
Yeah.
thing, because
I,
otherwise I couldn't do this
yeah.
business. Because we have a financial group that we work with here, and
Mhm.
she's uber successful, been a financial planner for 30 years. And she'll go talk to a group of real estate agents, and I never looked at it this way. She goes, yeah, I manage people's money and we have big portfolios, but I put their investments into different pockets. You have one large asset that you're dealing with, whether it's a $500,000 asset or it's a $2 million asset.
Yes.
It's one asset. Mine, I'm diverse. So you really have to know what you're doing, and people have to trust you. So she was talking about how you just have to earn people's trusts and know what you're doing. And that
I
these
agree.
people that just pick an agent because at least their compensation's cheaper, or, it's not about just sticking a sign on the front lawn or just opening the door. It's really
No.
changed, and you have to be able to have the hard conversations, especially with some of the changes in real estate and how we have to explain our compensation. There's a lot of agents that just aren't comfortable doing that. Well, then you shouldn't be in the business.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I were both in retail. There's always going to be shoppers who just pick the cheapest, period, and that's fine. But paying little bit more, you should understand what you're receiving in value, virtue of
Right.
that. And it's usually with an agent or an attorney or a doctor. It's usually their experience or their specialty
Right. Right.
is what that boils down to.
Oh, I
But I
agree.
actually think, I know there was a lot of chaos with the decoupling of commissions, but I think it's a blessing for our industry because my father owned a machine shop when I was a kid, and for me to get my tool and die making certification, which I was just shy of and never actually got, I had to go through an apprenticeship, which
Right.
means I had to work with a journeyman to learn how to use the different machines and really understand all these things. And I feel with the decoupling, it's harder for agents to pitch their value when they're brand new, so they have to work with somebody like you
Right.
and they have to learn and understand the tools of the trade, if you will,
Right.
and then develop those skills and then be able to articulate their value forward. And I think in the spirit of that, which I don't think was the intention of this whole decoupling, but I think the the byproduct is it is going to actually provide better service for those buyers because to your point, most people it is their single most biggest investment they hold.
Right. And it's important. But I think learning from other people is a great source because you never know what it might be even just one sentence you pick up from listening to someone else or one idea. And if you think about all the, the great athletes in the world or even great executives, they all have a coach. I mean, I
Oh,
was just at a Tom Ferry event here in Dallas, and
he's
he
amazing.
has he has so many coaches that coach him in different things.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I'm going down a different tangent. He had a gentleman there that spoke, um, blanking on his name at the moment, but he was a performance coach, didn't do real estate. He was from Chicago. Tim Grover was his name.
Mm.
And he was the performance coach for Michael Jordan and
Oh
Kobe
yeah.
Bryant. And
He has a great book and I don't
oh,
remember the
he's a great speaker if you ever get a chance to
name.
listen to him. He got up on stage and there was probably 5,000 people in the room and, he had everyone put their hand on their heart and he goes, "You feel that? Those are heartbeats and you're not guaranteed the next one." And then at the end, he said, "Thank you for giving me 90 minutes of your heartbeats." And I was like, wow, that was the fastest 90 minutes of my life. But what he
Wow.
talked about is that those athletes, yes, they had skill, but it wasn't that they were so superb at it. It was what was going on in their head. It was they were
100%.
obsessed, and it was their idea to be better. Well, anyone can do that. You
Yeah.
know, this isn't a hobby. This is real estate. You need to be obsessed with it if you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
It's about consistency and showing up, and you just got to keep doing the steps, and it will work. But if you think you can kind of waltz in and waltz out, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think the individual mindset is so important. And to your point as well, Michael Jordan never showed up to a game without a coach, if not multiple coaches.
Right.
And so sometimes having somebody on the side seeing what you're doing and observing it can give you that insight that changes the complete trajectory of whatever it is that you're doing. And so I'm a firm believer of coaching, and that's what I think these podcasts are a form of that. It's mentoring. And
Yeah,
it's
because
I think we're
someone might be listening and they hear one or two sentences of something we said and thought, "Wow, if I incorporate that into my day, maybe I'll be a little better." Because if you look at this last year in real estate, it's been tough. There's a lot of people that
yeah.
are struggling, and it's hard when a market switches from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And so
Mm,
some of the hard lessons you've learned on pricing homes or dealing with people, that's when you learn the most. That I've made mistakes and I'll never make them again. And some of
yeah,
it's taught me how to have some very difficult conversations with people, especially when they say, "Well, my neighbor sold their house down the street 3 years ago and they sold it for this. And why can't I sell my house for this?" Well, it's a
yeah.
different market. And that's a deep conversation to have with someone.
Yeah, I mean, even what you said there, there's a nuance to it of, those really hard moments and those hard times. Those are the best teachers, and you just
Yep.
have to step back and not get wrapped up into it, but what's the lesson here, and how do I maybe avoid this from happening to myself or my clients in the future? And
Right.
it's you gain your sensory acuity gets dialed in a little bit tighter, and then you see the pattern. And the next time when you even have a slight inkling of that pattern, you're like, nope, we're going over here.
Yeah. And that's the greatest lesson. I mean, it's you just learn so much from those things that happen to you, and it just makes you a better person.
Yeah. I'm curious, what's with your business because you give the air of you've been doing this forever, but you haven't. You've had
No.
a short run in a highly successful one at that. But what's the one area of your business that you're just incredibly proud of?
I think it's my client relationships, and
Mm,
I when I find someone the right home or we get their house under contract, it's the relationships. That's exactly it is. I
yeah.
so enjoy my clientele, and um, I can't think of anybody I've really worked with that I wouldn't want to go out to have dinner with.
That's
So
such a
I,
nice that's a nice way to put it.
yeah, I'm very blessed. We've had some wonderful clients. Uh, One of my biggest referral sources, I've never bought a house with him. He's a dear friend. We've been friends for him and his wife. Their children were the same age as ours, and we met when they were little. And he's in the medical profession, and sitting in the doctor's lounge, and someone says, "Hey, I'm thinking of selling my house." He's like, "Oh, well, you got to call my friend Linda." So one of the referrals that he gave me, I sold their house and they're building a new house. And now I've sold his
Mm.
son's house. Bought his son a house and I bought his daughter a house. And he looked at me over dinner one night and he goes, "I'm really sorry, Linda. I have no more children to give you." I'm like, "Dude, that's great because I won't be in the business when your grandkids start buying houses."
What
He's
an
like, "I have no
honor
more kids
that
to give you."
that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest honor. Like I would
Yeah,
never send a family member to a dentist, an attorney, a anybody if I didn't fully believe in that person and trust them. I would never steer anybody in
right.
the wrong direction. So what a huge, such a huge honor.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Is there, I don't want to say system, but what's your process of maintaining the relationships?
Um, I've gotten a little lax on that if that was one and it because it becomes time. So,
Yeah.
obviously I mail cards, I mail birthday cards, I mail house anniversary cards. I do try to just kind of check in just to
Yeah.
say hi, how's it going? There's a young couple that I worked with probably 4 years ago when the market was really crazy. We tried so hard, he wasn't understanding that you have to pay over listing price for it, the house. And
Yeah.
after 4 years, he just called me now, they wanna upgrade, they wanted they're buying his house twice the price of what they did, but it was because I called and sent cards, and, um,
Mm,
I'd like to do more events.
yeah.
I drop off Popeyes at the what they call Popeyes at the house, we drop off cookies or things like that or chocolates I but I was really good at that, and I've been so busy lately, I'm not as good as I should be, and that's one of
Mm,
my goals because there's so many different balls to juggle, and
yeah.
you do really it's either you're working on your business or you're working in your business,
True.
and
Yeah.
it's hard to regroup and do that. But,
Yeah.
it's phone calls, there's a handful of clients. We have clients now that we've become such dear friends that we celebrate Thanksgiving with them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, they're British. They moved here from Singapore and we just hit it off. My family is British and we've just hit it off so well. And now
That's cool.
we're looking at rental properties to diversify his portfolio. So
That's so cool.
so
I
that's a lot of fun too, because I get to work with a friend.
yeah. I have Lindsay Jacobs who was on the podcast. Her and her mom are out of St. Louis, and her mom basically built her whole book of business from events. They would host every holiday season. They would throw massive parties, and became with their whole circle and sphere. It was like that's how they built all the relationships to
Right.
build the business out. And so I think again with the decoupling and from having all these conversations, it's events
Yeah.
are they're worth their weight in gold. And I've heard such amazing, simple, inexpensive things to do. Even just finding a volunteer place and then saying, "Hey, if I can bring 20 people, could we, book this day?" And then
Right.
you just reach out to 20 people and be like, "Hey, I'm volunteering at blah blah blah, this beach cleanup or whatever it is." But yeah, I'm a firm believer. I think events are amazing. It gives you FaceTime with people to not talk about real estate and to actually build out to nurture those real relationships.
But it also works too, like when you meet people or if you get involved, like say you're just getting in the business and you have school age children, you should join the PTA at your school because,
100%.
the conversation, you don't have to like wear a sign, I'm a real estate agent, but you get in a natural conversation with someone and you say, oh, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a stay at home mom, or I'm a doctor, or I, work at the whatever. And then the next question is going to be, they're going to come back and say, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, I sell real estate. Oh, really? And so it's a natural conversation, and if you have enough of those and
Yes.
one of them will pop, and then that's how it gets started.
I agree. I'm not, I know there's some coaches out there. So just, I guess with everything, not everybody's good at what they do. And there's a
Right.
lot of coaching systems that are like basically just bludgeon everybody over the head that you're a real estate agent. I think if you, to our earlier part of this conversation, if you start with curiosity and you get to know somebody, the rule of reciprocity is if I ask you what you do with your 8 hours a day, you're naturally, organically going to volley it back. I don't have to tee it up. I don't have to say
No,
it.
no. It's kinda like when I first started, I thought, "I don't want my friends to look at me and think like I'm a multi-level marketing person that's gonna get them to try to buy cologne
Yeah.
or perfume or skincare." I, like, didn't want people to say, "Oh god, here she comes," kinda
Yeah.
thing. But most conversations do kinda wrap around to real estate because everyone's sitting on these assets that have
100%.
appreciated over the last, few years.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, it's similar to holding stocks. I looked at the stocks this morning. I'm not looking to buy or sell. I'm just curious of how it's doing. And so when
Right.
most people bring up real estate, it's just that. It's a curiosity of, oh, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? Or how's the interest rate impacting this? Or how's, the political view or whatever is swinging in that moment. People are curious. And
Right. We
I
we
think
do
that's
get a
just
lot
it.
of people that reach out to us from, the farming and the marketing that we do, and they just wanna know what their home is worth, or, maybe it's something that they're thinking about doing 2 or 3 years down the road, and they're like, "Well, should I update this bathroom or should I?" So, I end up saying, "Well, I can look at numbers, but I have to really walk your house." So that's,
Yeah.
I'll make an appointment just to walk their house, and they're like, "Well, we might not sell for a year or 2." And I'm like, "Well, I'll still be around in a year or 2, so let's figure out, let me come over and walk the house with you, and let's make some decisions together, and if I can help, that's great, and if I can't, well, it was nice meeting you." It's
Yeah.
never like a hard sell. Again, it's about the relationship.
And I think it's that level of professionalism brought back to the industry is what's needed.
Right. Yeah,
It's
we don't have a
it's
good
not.
reputation. I don't know what the ranking is on those systems when they talk about who do you trust the most. I don't think real estate agents are too high, but we should be because,
No.
again, we have these huge assets that we're trying to help you with.
Well, what's interesting, I had Lance Pendleton on this podcast, who's a coach, and he actually did research on people's buying decisions. And theirs, when you're making a decision to purchase or work with somebody, let's say you need knee surgery,
Right.
trust is very high. I think it's actually number one, if I'm not mistaken, on the list. Like you want to trust that they're going to do the thing that they're promising to do or fix the thing or whatever it may be. And so it dismantles trust when anytime there's pressure being entered into the conversation. And I think too, I mean, you and I have been doing sales long enough, is there's objections,
Mhm.
which are questions yet to be answered, and then
Right.
there's conditions.
Right.
Like, and you're never going to reframe a condition. I don't
Right.
have the down payment. Like, unless you're going to give them the money, that's a roadblock until it's actually physically solved.
Right.
And so just build a relationship. Hey,
Mhm.
maybe I can guide you to a financial advisor who can help you plan the next 10 years or 5
Right.
years or whatever it may be. Then you can at least help them work towards a solution. But yeah, I think unfortunately, some of the sales programs are written in a way with commission breath, and
Right. No.
it's just not, it doesn't leave the recipient feeling good about your
No.
product or your
No.
service, and it's going to catch up. It'll always catch up.
But you brought up a good point there when, someone might not you can't overcome a down payment. But I've met agents that, like, they're bringing an offer to my listing, and it's like they've never talked to the lender for their buyer. Well, that's the first thing I do before I let my clients sign a line, because I wanna know the lender. I wanna know, how
Oh,
qualified are these people? So if you're starting to work with a buyer, which most new agents do start with buyers, you need to have relationships with mortgage people because one, you don't want to be taking people out that aren't approved. Two, you don't
of
want to get
course.
yourself in a situation where we want to make an offer on this house. Well, we're not going to get it because I don't know what I can buy. So again, it goes back to relationships, like
Yeah.
all these different relationships you need to have. So if you're starting out and you don't have any clients yet, go meet some mortgage people, go meet some
Yeah.
inspectors, go find a handyman that you can work with, that you can give business
Yeah.
to, an insurance agent. I helped one of my first sales was a young couple. She had a medical PhD and he was an attorney. Brilliant, like brilliant people. And we were walking into a house and he said, I have renter's insurance. Now, like, how does insurance work on my house? Like, he had no idea what he was supposed to do because you
Great
just don't
question.
know what you don't know. Both of them brilliant, but they never bought a
Yeah.
house before. So there's all this other information. Don't assume that someone just because they're smart doesn't, they've
Yeah.
never bought a house before. They don't know how to get a loan, or you need to be able to guide people through all of that.
I agree. One of my favorite questions that I learned early on, that I would often ask of lenders, and now I ask agents when I'm getting to know them in different markets, is tell me about your most recent challenging deal and how you were able to resolve it. Because you'll learn so much about how they think
Right.
through that.
Yeah.
Like
Because there is,
whether they,
it all goes good while it's going good, but when there's a hiccup, it can go really bad really quick.
yeah, that's my rule. It's good until it's not.
Yep. And it's never done until both parties have signed.
Yeah, my rule is it's not done until the check is in my account.
Yes, exactly.
Like
That is one of the truest statements that you can make.
it's funny. It's not funny. I'm working on a transact. It's a very, very, very hard transaction. We were supposed to close 2 weeks ago. We've had multiple extensions, and it was going great until it wasn't, and now it's not, and
Right.
it's such a debacle.
Yeah. I have one of those right now too, and it's not fun. It's just not
It's
fun at all. And
it's
I
not
think the
fun.
stressor for me was we took the deal because my client's house was paid for. They're downsizing and moving out of state, and he wanted a little bit of that money to put to pay for what he was doing in the next project. Otherwise,
Mm,
he was gonna have to sell stock. So we took this deal to do that, and then it just started to backfire. So my stress on that was make felt bad that he's gonna have to sell stock and it's gonna cost him more money. But now that we did that and we didn't close and we're trying to work through a close, I have a much different mindset now because we don't need to close. So we've done everything we're supposed to do, and you either wanna buy the house or you don't. And if you don't, we'll go sell it to someone else. We're fine.
yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's so hard though when you're in those moments.
Oh, I know. I know. You just have to take a
It's
deep breath. And that's much easier
you
said than done. Ask my husband because this deal has really gotten to me.
Yeah, I think that's always important. I've learned a few things. It's like take a beat. Like literally sometimes just go for a quick walk before you respond. Just
Right.
kind of assess the situation is sometimes important. And the other thing I've learned is you're never going to come to an agreement after 8 p.m.
No.
So
So
just
just
tell
tell
everybody
let's
let's table this until the morning when we're all
yeah, we're
fresh.
not brain surgeons. This can wait until the morning.
Yeah.
When
Yep.
I first worked retail, I moved to Michigan with my husband, and I worked for a department store, and I got promoted to a personnel manager because of my personality, and everybody in the store
Mhm.
liked me. And but the UAW, the United Auto Workers, their membership was down. This is a suburb of Detroit now in the late 80s. They wanted to take over department stores. This was Hudson's, a big
Mm.
department store. It's been bought out by Macy's since then. And there was all these personnel issues. And my boss at the time, he said, Linda, you never have to give an answer right away. Like when because I was like, I don't know the
True.
human resource laws. I don't. And he says, well, we're putting you in this job because people feel comfortable with you and they'll come talk to you. And he said, if
Mhm.
someone tells you something that you don't know, you table it until tomorrow. And then you call the attorneys or you call this or we'll look at the answer. And he's like,
Yeah.
you can always wait. And that was a very valuable lesson for me. You don't have to
Yeah.
give an answer right away. You don't have to answer a text right away or an email. You can breathe.
It's very true. I had it's you just reminded me one of my friends who pretty prolific agent in the city. She said, "Don't start your statement with I don't know.
Mm.
Say, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to confirm it. Let me research and get back to you."
Yep. That's a
And I was
great
like, "Wow, that's such a great reframe rather than because we're in this position where we are expected to have these answers." And
right.
so I always thought that was it's such a great way to respond to that. And
Yeah.
then you have a window of time to go and source whoever it is you need to talk to. You can go
Right.
source it.
Yeah. That's it. I know that's a very good way to handle that. Very good way to handle that.
And it's funny, like those are my scripts. My scripts are usually one-liners.
Mhm.
And then I know similar to retail, it's like I always view retail like playing a chess game. Like I know what I'm trying to achieve, but I don't know all the moves you're going to do. So I can't pre-plan all my moves. That would be silly. And so I think those over contrived scripts sound like scripts, and I think they're kind of silly. But if you have the idea of where you're going and you understand the style and to get it there, you will weave it to get to the point it needs to go.
That's a good point. When I first started doing listings, everyone said, well, you need a listing packet and you need to follow all these steps. But I would go in and you'd start to have a natural conversation with someone, and
Yes.
it couldn't go that way. Just like you said, you can't script things out. So you
Yeah.
can have a script that you try to follow, but when you have to be able to pivot off of someone's conversations, which is hard to do sometimes, but it's necessary. So if you're so scripted, then you can't think.
I yeah, I usually like when I do the same thing, and I was told the same thing too. It's like, oh, you should have a listing presentation and have it all buttoned up. But again, it's like I knew the key points of what I wanted to share. So I would generally say to my client, like, we're going to go over pricing, we're going to go over market conditions, and we're going to go over commissions. Of those three, what's the most important to you? And
Right,
then I already know the order I'm going to put them in. I'm going to
right,
talk about commissions last. I already know that. And they're going to say commissions are most important. And I'm going to say, great. I'm going to make sure that I spend time on that and I'm going to put it last so we can end with that. Does that sound fair? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes.
oh yeah,
And so I know now the map and the places I'm going to plug things in, but it's all then organic.
right.
And that's where again, I think when we're able to observe the person and listen to how they're talking about that part of their home that they're so incredibly proud of, and you can hear their voice speed up or the pitch go up a little bit because they just love that part of the home so much.
Right.
You obviously at that point can't talk about repainting it or tearing it out.
No, even though you might want to, we can't. You can't. Yeah,
Right.
Well, that's a good story, to have in marketing, a marketing piece or something about my client loves this home. This is why they bought the home, or something like that. Try to make a positive out of it for them.
Of course. I mean, that's, you make the weakness the attribute. How do you then take that objection and inoculate it for the buyer when they see it?
Right,
And
right.
it's, this aspect of our business is what keeps me so incredibly engaged because
Because it's
it's
different all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm
Every conversation's
constantly,
different. Every appointment's different. And that is a lot of fun. I would get bored, and I don't know what I would do. I mean, I don't like to sit still, so it's great. Every day's different. I don't like
I have
days where I'm not out
ADHD.
talking to
So
people. Pardon?
I have ADHD, so if there's not enough novelty in my day, then I'm literally bored to tears creating problems.
Right, right. No, it's good to keep you busy.
It absolutely is. And I always have way too many projects happening to just keep my mind engaged. But
Right.
yeah, that's my wiring. But then I have great people around me who get that and they clean up. This has been super fun, and I want to get Gary on my schedule. I would love to sit down with him and talk about the marketing that he's put into play for your business.
Yeah, he's done a really good job on it. It was
I mean,
funny, I was at an event yesterday, and it was luxury agents, like a mastermind, and,
oh,
I was sitting with a marketing rep from our title company, and, we use lawyers' title, and we have a wonderful relationship with them. So, question was, put into ChatGPT, who ask ChatGPT who you are. So I said, "Who is Linda Bale?" And the marketing person and like my newest picture popped up, and it said I was a luxury agent in Dallas. And so the marketing girl sitting next to me, she goes, "You can thank Gary Bale for that, Linda, because he's always tweaking everything for me." So I thought that was interesting to do. But yeah, I'm sure
that's
he'd love me.
wild. I'm
Yeah,
doing this right now. I'm typing in who's Sean.
yeah. Because
I'm super
the
curious of what it's gonna spit out.
whole AI thing is
Oh
gonna.
wow.
So did you come up? Did it come up and say some good things
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, it has a. It's funny. It has a bunch of my headshot photos from the real estate business, and then a bunch of stuff from the podcast. That's
Yeah, so that's
interesting.
what people see when they hear your name and they want to know who you are.
Wow. All right. I need to figure out how to SEO that and get it to push higher.
Yeah. See, that's the problem with real estate. You have to know how to do marketing, there's all these different things, and
Yeah.
people lose sight then that no, you really need to be selling houses, and you have to have other people help you with this stuff because there's not enough
Amen.
hours in the day.
100%. I think yes. I think it's really easy to get caught up looking for shiny objects.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to sell you that quick fix, and there's no quick fix. There's no cheat code. It's to your point earlier. There's build a relationship,
Yep.
have good
Consist
conversations, ask
Yeah.
ask engaging questions. Like you can't cheat that. Like
No.
I couldn't hack this conversation to get to know you. Like there's no, we had to both invest time and
Right.
invest in this conversation, and then it organically spawned from there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the number one thing that the agents who are really struggling they're getting distracted. Well, this thing's not working. And you're like, it will. You just have to, you can't plant the seed and expect it to bear fruit next week. You have to
No.
water it and you have to nurture it and then you have to
And it
wait.
takes time.
It
We
just takes time.
definitely learned that with some of the, lead generation things that we do. There was a company that Gary got to help us with leads, and he thought, I'm not getting anything. It's 7 months. We haven't gotten one lead out of this." And they wouldn't let him out of his contract because he signed a year contract. That was
Oh,
the
geez.
best thing that ever happened to us because we got a
Really?
lead after that, gentleman coming from Chicago. I worked with him for 2 years, but he bought a $4 million house, and
Pay for itself.
we would have lost that. But
Yeah.
people talk about farming. I keep coming back to that. It's consistency. We've been farming some neighborhoods for a year and a half now, but
Yeah.
we're getting 3 and 4 listing appointments a month from those now.
That's
Or someone
incredible.
comes into open house and they actually have my flyer in their hand, my thing, which is a
Yeah.
wonderful feeling. They said, "Oh, we've been watching you, Linda. We've been getting your flyers for a year. We're thinking about selling our house, but we knew you would be here. We wanted to come in and meet you."
What an honor. That's
Yeah,
such
that's a
a
big honor, and I do owe that to my husband because he's really honed in on that, so
That's
it's
amazing.
good.
Yeah, and I think to your point is people lose sight that it's farming.
Mhm. It
Like
takes time. Don't get
it
into
just
it.
takes time.
It's expensive. The reward's great when it works, but if you think
Yeah.
you're gonna do it for 60 days, 90 days, half a year, no, you have to invest a lot more time.
And that's just, I mean, if you, again, if you really look at it and compare it to farming, it's, you have to do the right things at the right time. You don't plant the crop in the middle of winter when there's snow. You have to wait
Right.
until spring, but you have to prep your fields in the fall so
Very
you can
good.
have a good winter, so you can plant in the spring. And then you have to be patient and care and nurture and water through the summer. And then at the end of summer into fall, then you can harvest and then you start over. And it's, but I think it's, we're by human nature, we get super impatient. We're like, no, we planted seeds and it didn't work, so this doesn't work. Let me
Let's go
try
on to the
something
next
new.
thing.
Yeah, and then they popcorn around, and then 5 years later they still have inconsistent. Everything's inconsistent.
And you don't do any business. And there's so many companies out there now that call you. They want a piece of your compensation. Everyone's got their hand out. Everybody wants a piece of it, and they'll tell you we're the latest greatest thing, and they're not. It's showing up. It's consistency. It's
Yeah.
picking 2 or 3 different pillars to generate leads where your business comes
Yes.
from, and sticking with those. And that's hard because when something's not working, you think I'll jump. But if you have enough of them, maybe one's not working right now, but the other one's working.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, if you go back to investments, that's diversifying your portfolio. You have different things. Like sometimes one of your properties goes vacant. It means it's not producing, but
Right.
it will once you get somebody back in there. And so you just have to farm, you have to run the ads and be patient and then put
Right.
somebody in there and then it starts again. Yeah,
And
again, I'll reach out to you on the side and we'll get Gary on. I would love to unpack
yeah,
marketing.
he'd like that.
I think that's it's always a it's something that people don't understand. I don't think fully because
Right.
we wear so many hats and we do
Right.
so many things. And like you and I are, we're good at running fast and making messes, and that's great. That's what we should be doing. But
Right.
then people like Gary are the ones who they're like, okay, let me stare at the spreadsheet and figure out patterns and look for the opportunities and then really hunker down on those things. And that's it's either leveling up skills for us or hiring the right people to work with
Right.
moving forward.
'Cause you can't be good at everything. There was years ago, I was involved with this woman that we were gonna do a company about balance, work-life balance, like, how can women be a mother and work and have a balance? Well, you can't be balanced. You
You
can't.
can't.
You No, you can have it all, you can just have it at different times. And
Yeah.
it was a fascinating group to be a part of. We didn't end up doing anything with it. I wish we did because we were, like, ahead of our time. But,
Yeah.
there's different seasons to your life, and I don't
Yes.
know if I could have done this business at the level I'm doing it when my children were little.
I
You know,
agree.
I w we have a golden retriever, so between Gary and I, we keep the golden retriever alive, and, we've raised our kids. So but if I
Yeah.
had little kids or was missing a baseball game or a ballet recital, that's hard. That's
Yeah.
hard.
I think and part of my French on this, but I think the whole life work balance is bullshit and it
Yeah, it
puts
is.
such ridiculous pressure on people that they
Yeah,
don't need.
right,
It's we're never in balance. That's the beauty of life
right,
is things change in priority all the time, day
right,
to day and week to week, month over month. And it's okay. Like, it's
right.
okay. It's okay to
That's a
put a
hard thing
little
to
bit.
learn. And
It's
I think
really
for you and
hard.
we learned it over time. But how do you get a younger person to understand that? Because if that saying, "You can't put an old head on young shoulders." My mother used to say that, and
Oh, that's a good one. I've never
I
heard
used to
that.
roll my eyes at her like, "Oh god, please, mom." Um, but she had work my mom was a nurse, so, they
Yeah.
her and my dad figured out how to raise my brother and and, I came home from school for lunch every day, so I don't know how they all figured that out, but
Wow.
you can't have it all at once. You just can't. It is a
You can't.
balance.
Yeah, and I think giving, especially when somebody's younger, give yourself grace. Like, when you have, and people say it all the time, when you have kids, your priorities change. When you get a dog, your priorities change. We have a puppy. I have a 10-month-old dog. It's my life has changed. Like, and it can't not. And
Right.
that's and I again, I think for anybody listening, it's okay.
Right.
It's recognize that something else may need attention.
Right.
Like my workouts have suffered because I'm walking the dog more often. That's
Right.
fine. Then
That's
I'm
okay.
just
You're getting a workout. You're walking the dog. Walking's good for you.
exactly, or I'll intentionally walk the dog on more like more stairs or more hilly terrain, so I can then get the benefit. And anyways, I think it's fine. Is my point. And I also think additionally, our businesses go through cycles and seasons.
Yeah.
The world, the globe goes through seasons. It's all normal, and it's all expected. And I think if we just prepare for those seasons,
Right.
again, to go back to the farming, is when you're reaping the crops, is you put some in stores to get you through the winter.
Right.
And so, when the markets shift like they kind of are now, is make sure you have some stores to get you through those bumpy parts.
Right.
And you will. You'll get through it. Linda, this was such a just a
It was so
wonderful,
much fun.
wonderful chat with you. I really
Nice.
appreciate it.
So enjoyed my time with you.
Thank you. And so that's a wrap.
Thank
But
you.
come back anytime. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm available. I'd love to chat.